Hey everybody, welcome back to the Print 3D channel. We recently acquired some filament from MakeShaper in a couple different kinds of materials, including their Standard PLA, their new PLA PHA, and some of their carbon fiber. And I've been using MakeShaper filament for quite some time, and I thought it was finally time that I share my honest opinion with you guys, so stick around. Hey everybody, welcome back, and thank you for joining me here on the Print 3D channel. As I was saying in the introduction, we've been using MakeShaper filament for quite some time now. We did do a couple of projects during the 365 project, and you can watch those videos here, where we did use some MakeShaper filament that was sent to us for free. And I'm sorry I never got a chance to review that filament. But recently I purchased some filament from them because I have a heated bed on my G-Max 1.5 XT Plus, and I really want to try out some cool new materials. And while browsing around on their website, I noticed they have a couple of different materials I'd never seen before, and that's their PLA PHA, along with a new filament called PLA-E or -E, which is their elite filament. Now they did send us a roll of that to try out, which I'll do a separate review on, because that's a separate review because that was sent to us for free. But this is the filament that I purchased, and of course, like I said in the introduction, I've been using their filament for quite some time. They did send us some filament over a year ago for us to check out and test and review, and I never got a chance to do it. But I wanted to share my honest opinion with you guys because the PLA is actually some really good filament, and I've been printing with the PLA PHA as a little bonus, and I want to share my honest opinion and kind of first impressions about that filament with you guys as well. So to start with, on all filaments that we take in on the Print 3D channel, I like to do a series of tests, and I also like to check out the packaging that the filament arrives in, because it's kind of important that your filament arrives in a nice package. That way it doesn't get damaged during shipping. And of course, the MakeShaper filament arrived in some really great packaging. Now they have two different kinds of packaging on the filament that I purchased. They have the brown cardboard packaging, and they also have some really nice branded hard cardboard packaging, which you can see over here. Now the packages that I opened up were the brown cardboard, and they're labeled very nicely. On the outside of the package, there's a label that tells you the type of filament that you purchased, the print temperatures, the bed temperature, the diameter. There's a lot number if you have any issues with it. There's a lot of really great information right on the outside. Now, since I've been printing with this filament for a while, I didn't film where I opened up those packages of the purple PLA and the purple PLA PHA, but I can show you a little bit of footage here of the carbon fiber as I begin testing on that right now. And you can see that all the filament is packaged in a sealed plastic with a Dezign bag inside. And once you get the package open and the filament out, I like to run a couple of other tests on my filament before I actually start printing with it. And the first thing I like to do is the bend test. And now this is very important to me because I don't like brittle filament. And the bend test was perfect with the MakeShaper with both the purple and the purple PLA PHA, which I'll show you guys that footage in a couple of seconds. But this passed the bend test with flying colors. The next thing I like to do is my clip test, because I like to see if it's got a nice soft, yet it's still somewhat firm clip, and you can hear it. And it was a really good clip, so I was happy with those first two tests, along with the fact that it was sealed in a nice plastic package. The next thing I like to do is a diameter check on all my filaments, because I have a really nice direct drive system, and I don't want to have any extruder issues or jams on long prints. And of course you can see all of the measurements that I took on the standard purple PLA were in spec of my printer. There was a little drift at the 1.70 to 1.69 at one point, but I've seen that with other brands of filament, so that was not a big deal to me. And like I said, I have a really strong direct drive filament driving system on my G-Max 1.5 XT Plus, so I'm not too concerned with that. After that, I wanted to show you guys the same series of tests that I did with the purple PLA PHA, which is the bend test. And of course the bend test was perfect. It took me a little bit of effort to really break the filament, and I really like to see that. That shows me that it's a really durable filament and it can handle a lot of retraction. The next thing, of course, we did our clip test. And once we were done with that clip test, I did want to run a diameter check on this filament as well, like I do with all my filaments. And of course the PLA PHA passed with flying colors. Those diameters are really consistent along quite a length of filament that I did my measuring on. And I knew right away I wasn't going to have any problems with this filament as far as printing on my G-Max. Retraction settings were going to be no problem, and it was going to be really easy to print with. And of course, I have printed with the MakeShaper Standard PLA in the past, so I had a lot of confidence that printing with the PLA PHA wasn't going to be a problem either. Once it passed all these initial tests that we had run, it was time to start printing. Now I like to print out a lot of different things. Now I know I have a G-Max 1.5 XT Plus and I can print out giant pieces to show you guys, but I think it would be more consistent to show you a bunch of prints that you guys could see different aspects of printing, of 3D printing, to see how it performs. And of course, I didn't have any problems with the MakeShaper filament. Like I said, I've used this filament before, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of my experience with the PLA PHA as well. First, let's talk about printing with the standard PLA. Now the packaging says 190 to 215 degrees, and I was able to get successful layer adhesion plus a perfect finish that I like, which is a matte finish, at 210 degrees on the hot end. Now I did print some of the objects using the heated bed and without the heated bed at 50 degrees C, so you can use either your heated bed or without it and not have a problem. And talk about printability, the MakeShaper filament actually prints like butter. Now I know that's a very common term within filament reviews, and I've printed with a lot of different kinds of filament, and I can tell you that I had a lot of really great experience with the MakeShaper filament, the standard PLA, and it really has no issues printing. I didn't have any backflow issues or any kind of clicking extruder. I didn't see any signs of over or under extrusion. Sometimes when you run the temperatures at hot on PLA, it'll cause a little bit of what I would call like mist areas where the filament is so liquid it starts to just ooze out depending on your print speed. But I printed a lot of these objects at different print speeds and I didn't see any problems like under or over extrusion. There were no blobbing or globbing at the extruder. I didn't have any problems with my first layer prints. And like I said, I used the heated bed on and off at 50 degrees and I didn't have any problems whatsoever either way. Now let's talk about the PLA PHA for just a second. That's actually what I would call a co-polyester because PHA, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce this name here because it's just too much, I don't know what that means. But what the definition of it is that I could find was that it's a natural biodegradable polyester produced by microorganisms. So whatever it is, and on the MakeShaper website, it says that it creates a stronger and more durable PLA. Now, I didn't have any problems printing with it, and it is a little bit stronger. I did notice some differences in all the models that we printed that you guys can see here. So for printing with the PLA PHA, it's a little bit of a temperature variation. You can go 190 to 230, which is a little bit hotter than I like to run my PLA, but it does have a polyester in there, which could be considered some sort of additive, and you may have to run this a little bit hotter to get good layer adhesion so you can really take advantage of the strength that it boasts. But I had a lot of success printing at 215 to about 219, and of course I did run a temperature tower, and the range that I used was 200 to 225 because I don't like to go over 220 like I said previously. And it really looked really nice, so I knew I could just stick with my 215, and I figured that was a safe temperature because I've had really good layer adhesion on other types of filament at 210 to 215, so I continued to print. And the printability with the PLA PHA was really easy. It went down very easy at 215 degrees. You can obviously dial in your own settings, and like I said, I did run a temperature tower, and I did print out a variety of different models with the similar aspects as the models that I printed with the standard PLA to see how the overhangs reacted at that temperature, and of course to see how the filament looks. And that's a big thing when it comes to filament, is how the final appearance is. Now the color on the roll for both of these, the PLA and the PLA PHA, is very much the same color that prints, which is really good. Sometimes when you heat up a filament, it'll sometimes change colors, or you have some variation in color depending on print speed and temperature of the nozzle. But it's very consistent pigment and color through both of these. And like I said, the PLA PHA, which we're talking about now, it had a real easy printability at both 210 to 219 degrees and 50 degrees C on the bed. So I had no problems printing with it. All my first layers looked really great, and all the prints look really good. I don't see any signs of over or under extrusion. It does have that really glossy finish, so it's really hard to see sometimes on the model, but if you take a good look at the models, they have a really great soft finish to them, and the prints all look really, really great. I'm super happy with the results. I didn't see any blobbing or globbing at the extruder from over extrusion, and I didn't see any of those little gaps that I was talking about previously where you run filaments too hot and it just seems to pour out of the nozzle, and the print speed will leave little gaps between. You usually have to start slowing it down and you'll see those disappear. But I didn't have to worry about that. Most of these models were printed on both the PLA and the PLA PHA, anywhere between 40 millimeters per second and 50 millimeters per second on the G-Max 1.5 XT Plus. So I guess the big question is, because this is a copolyester filament or a filament with a polyester additive, is it boasts that it has a higher strength and durability. And I did print out some samples, some little swatches here, and these are 1 millimeter thick, 0.24 millimeter layer height, and I ran them at the temperature settings for each appropriately. But I did run the heated bed for the standard PLA just to make sure that we kind of cooked the filament. I made it cool down. I let the bed cool down as much as possible. I pulled this off the build tack without an issue. Same with this. I ran it at the standard temperatures I was printing all the other models with because I wanted to see about strength. Now, I haven't had a chance to really bend them. I printed up 2 sets, so I have a chance to show you guys on camera. So the first thing we'll take a look at is the standard PLA. And PLA is usually pretty strong anyway. And it takes a little bit of effort, and you really can't. I mean, this is 1 millimeter thick too, so I didn't expect it to snap or anything like that, which I've had happen with some PLAs. You print it and they're super brittle after a couple of days. These are fresh prints, of course. They're not still warm, they've been cooled off nicely, but it is pretty strong. Now let's take a look at the PLA PHA. Now this is actually, it's actually a lot stronger, and I don't think, yeah, there's no way. So just with those little bit of bend tests, and I can give you my honest opinion about it because I'm not the strongest guy in the world, but this is a lot stronger than standard PLA. And I think this would be really good for like machine parts, or if you're building like, say, RC cars or any kind of things that's going to take a little bit of abuse. This would be really good in those kind of printing areas. And I really like the filament because it's really easy to use. It's very much like the standard PLA. So these were a good comparison to show you guys that this PLA and the PLA PHA are very similar in printability, but one has a lot better strength, and I'm sure this will be a lot more durable in some sort of project that requires mechanical parts, or like I said, even some sort of RC or drone cars. So I really like this PLA PHA for a strong, durable printing filament. So the last thing we'll talk about is the price. Now, standard PLA from MakeShaper is $21 for a full kilo, 2.2 pounds. The PLA PHA is only $24. So it's only $3 more for something that's, I would say, is quite stronger than standard PLA and has the same printing properties as standard PLA and is a really good choice. And they have a ton of colors in their standard PLA, and they're growing their color supply in their PLA PHA. So for $21 for the standard or $24 for the PLA PHA, I think you're getting a really good deal for some really great filament. So my final thoughts and honest opinion about the MakeShaper standard PLA and their PLA PHA are that if you're looking for a really good priced filament that's really easy to print with, will give you consistent color and pigment, easy printability, and the PLA PHA for just a few dollars more will give you some extra strength on your prints, and will give you the ability to do some rapid prototyping or any kind of mechanical or even any kind of RC cars. So this is a really great filament for the price. I highly recommend it. Like I said, I had no problems printing whatsoever. I printed with this stuff previously, so I have a lot of experience printing with this. You can watch some of those previous videos. I'm sure they'll pop up as we've been talking. And you can see all the different models that we printed today. I got a really good gamut of different kinds of print issues that you might run into, and I didn't have any problems printing with the MakeShaper filament. So I highly recommend, if you're looking for a really cool filament to check out MakeShaper PLA. And if you're looking for something super durable that has the same printing properties as PLA, check out the PLA PHA from MakeShaper. Well, that about wraps it up for my honest opinion of the MakeShaper PLA and a little insight on printing with the MakeShaper PLA PHA. If you're looking for some really cool, affordable filament in a variety of colors, check out the MakeShaper link down in the description. That's a non-affiliate link. And if you really enjoyed this episode, check out all these cards that are going to pop up in front of my face to make a really cool visual experience. If you're looking for ways to support the channel, check out the Patreon link that's going to pop up over here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe so you'll get notifications on when all the videos come out, and you can hit that button here. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll talk to you guys soon.